Okay. Hey, Randy, how you doing? Okay, so we've been hitting on 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 of the stick control book formulas. Today I want to move around a little bit, but before I do that, and you weren't here, Randy, so I'm going to have to, I wanted to ask the question was, is there any questions on the past couple nights? Hey, Robert, how are you? Any questions on the last couple of nights? These books have been selling like hotcakes, man. I'm not going to be complaining. It's just a really nice thing. Okay, here's what we want to work on today. I think 13 to hit the spot. Stick control book formula 13. It's a triplet vamp. It's a little tricky and confusing. Okay, so if you have the book, get onto the stick control formula number 13. There's a prerequisite to this one, but I want to hit this one because it makes all the other ones easier. What we're going to be doing, we're going to take the stick control book, page 5. And here's where I got the patterns from. The one thing that's changing, you already know this guy, you know, your bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4, left foot 2 and 4, and you're playing triplets here. I'm going to keep it all snares for a while. And the first one you learned was to take all the rights and put them on the floor. Back, line 2, line 3. You guys remember that one? Sorry about that, Jim. Do you guys understand that one? That was the first one you learned. Now this one's a little different. We're going to add, well, we're not going to add, we're going to move the voices around. The first thing you want to do is go to page 5 or page the formula number 13. Okay? And now we're going to look at, it's actually coming from page 5, line 1. All rights become the bass drum, all lefts become the right hand on the snare drum, floor tom-tom. So the first thing you want to do is get used to, and that's where it gets confusing. Oh, did I make the right this or did I make the right that? The right's going to be the bass drum. The L's going to be the right hand on the floor tom-tom. So if I went to the first line, the pattern between the bass drum and the right hand is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and line 2 would be the reverse. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and line 3 would be 1 and 2 and do you understand that interpretation, gentlemen? Now, at first, they're not going to sound very musical. Okay? At first, you're putting them together. But there's a couple elements that I'd like you to work with. And my snare drum is going to be consistent in sound. My floor tom-tom and my bass drum. Put a little dynamics in here. Do we understand this so far before I continue? Oh boy, we're going to start with the chat. It's not a bad connection. There's something wrong with something. You understand, Randy? Robert understands? How about you, Jim? So you want to work at one at a time. Now remember, the most confusing part about this lesson is to remember right equals the bass drum, left equals the floor tom-tom. So let's start off real slow. Let's start, as a matter of fact, I like the one line 5. Nice and slow. 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and that's just putting it in place. And then once you get it to that point, you want to adjust the voices. You want to make a consistent sound with the bass drum, a consistent sound with the floor tom-tom, and the snare drum. Do we understand that? Now you have 72 lines of that. Come on, Ann. Just have fun. And that's the first one of the triplet no vamps. And I want to work with that for a while. And I want to go back to the beginning of the book. So just to give you something that's not so boring, okay? I'm here looking at the playback on my left hand. I see what's wrong with it. I'm losing it. All right, now the other formulas with the same thing, the triplet pattern. We're going to have the accent on 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to play the accent like so. Okay? 1 and 2 and then the next one will be on the da. So that's 3 vamping patterns that we're going to use. But first, just use without the accent. Get familiar with the feeling. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on and so forth. It's not easy. And what you forget is, well, what is the right equal? Remember, the right's equal in the bass drum. The L equals right hand on the floor tom-tom. Now, for those who were here yesterday, or last night, son of a bitch. Ah, Lord. Are there any questions on formula number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5? Any questions? I'll address them at the moment. Hoist had asked, he's having a problem with cut time. Okay. I'm going to send a couple pages out to you guys from the syncopation formulas. Remember I said on one side of the page, it's 4/4 time, and that same figure next to it on the right side of that line is going to be cut time. So we will work on that starting tomorrow, okay? Now, are there any questions on last night's lesson? Or so far, formula number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one today is 13. No response. Ugh. All right, no questions. Maybe it's just, all right. No questions on anything. So, do you understand that number 13? I try to make them or project them in a lesson as simple as possible. Yeah, I know there's a delay, but it shouldn't be like more than like 2-3 seconds. All right, so anyway, let's map out the future with this. That's the triplet vamp. Now we have also the 8th note vamp, and we have the 16th note vamp. The same thing is going to happen with the 16th note vamp. If I'm playing the 16ths here, and I'm going to interpret the 16ths between the bass drum and the floor tom-tom. Remember, the rights are the bass drum, the lefts are the right hand on the floor tom-tom. So the first line of stick control would be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 4 E and a. Line 2 would be 1 E and a, 2 E, a 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Line 3 would be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 4 E and a. Next line. Line 5. And you want to drop it down here with the 16ths, nice and slow. Start with line 1. 1 E and no accent yet. 1 E and. Second line. 3 E and a, 4 E again. All right, line number 2. Line 4. Ah. Line 5. So that's the paradiddle between the right hand and bass drum. Do we understand all that? Okay. Any other questions? Any questions at all? I'm not going to send that file out with the 4/4 time and cut time until tomorrow morning. You'll have it tomorrow morning. Hey, Troy. Hey, Troy, I thought you were going to buy the book. Do we all understand this? Want me to go over anything I just covered today? Oh, this is so hard to do right now. I hate this chat. It's such a delay. Anyway, we worked on formula number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and today it's 13. And like I said, there's a problem here, not a problem, but some things want to be addressed, and that's the difference between straight ahead time and cut time, 4/4 time and cut time. All right, good for you, Robert. All right, so we're going to work with that starting tomorrow. All right, good. So you want to hang out in the book, the stick control formulas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 13. And if you want to journey off by yourself and present some questions, throw them at me. And we're going to do tomorrow, 1 p.m. lesson, straight time or 4/4 time, and the same figure next to it in cut time. This is not the format that is ideal for what I'm doing. Okay, I mean, I can make instructional videos without the stream. I can go to my site and make do lessons. Now, which would you think is the best thing to do, Randy? What would you suggest? I mean, Joe, rather. I'm sorry. Oh. What's going on, no matter what, I mean, I would like to do all live lessons in my studio with all you guys. That would be idealistic. But I can't see like somebody coming from California or Montana or from Florida or from Quincy, Massachusetts, you know, at 1 p.m. in the studio and coming back at 7. This is what everybody does. This is ideal. All right? The frustration is the delay. All live lessons that are being demonstrated on the web all have a delay. That is not in the software that you use. It is the internet. Unless, Joe, you can come up with something else. Now, what I did is when you talked about that tune yesterday, The Rain, I brought it up on YouTube, and I was going to write it out for everybody. That tune is not in 4/4. I only listened to the beginning of it, the introduction. I tried to figure out 4/4. It's not 4/4. Do you know what time signature that is? That's in, Joe. The Rain, Led Zeppelin tune. I was going to do the transcription for you guys. And that's not very difficult to do with the Led Zeppelin tunes. But that's not in 4/4, the intro. I didn't listen to the rest of it. Do you know what time signature that's in, Joe? Ugh. Okay, guess not. Anyway, all right. Where would you like to go, guys? Some of you have the book. Some of you don't have the book. I want to do lessons from the stick control formula book. You need to get the book or the PDFs, so you know what we're talking about and ask questions. Jim hit and ran. Bob's still here. Randy, Joe, Troy, myself. All right, well, I mean, let's elaborate. I'm going to have this March the 1st again. We're going to have the show, provided it don't snow. Okay. I am correct, and you appreciate my help. Well, I appreciate everybody here. We're all equal. Any problems with the jazz pattern? I believe that's number 5. we did the 16th note triplets? It sure is, Troy. All right, anyway, remember these 16th note triplets? Do we have any questions on the triplets? Accenting the first stroke? Yeah, still having problems counting it, Dan? Robert? Triplets, 8th note, 16th note triplets. I said I was going to show you a shortcut in there that will be helpful. But you have to interpret the stick control book a little bit different. Want to try that? That might help with the triplets. For that particular exercise I was doing, 16th note triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I was hitting wherever there was a right as an accent. You got it now, all right. All right, so let me just do the 16th, for those that it help. If I interpret the stick control book, the right, left, the first measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and just that much. I interpret that in 8th notes. Let me interpret that in quarter notes, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first measure becomes 2 measures in quarter notes. Got it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. The second measure would be another 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now, if I, instead of doing 16th note triplets, if I do 8th note triplets and play all wherever there's a right as an accent, so if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, my accent's going to be on 1 and 3. 1 and 2 and that was the first measure. Second measure. Third measure, which is actually the second measure, the first one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I go to line 2. Now the right shifts over to 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and got it? Line 3 would be easy, just another way in. You're thinking about it differently. It's like Paul said last night. It's not that I'm giving you too much work. I am giving a lot of work, but not enough time to practice it. So you need some time for yourselves. And I'm figuring maybe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for yourself. All right, so now, with all the things that you want to review, I want some questions to come up. And we're going to go over them with a fine-tooth comb come tonight. But in the meantime, practice this. Free stroke down, a free stroke down. So on and so forth. All right, I hope I've helped you out so far. And we're going to see everybody tonight, 7 p.m., my site. No questions? Okay, gentlemen, remember 1 through 5 and the new one, 13. Work on them, work on your jazz time. And we're going to configure them all this evening. Any questions? And Troy, see what you can do about the book. You're going to need it.